Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome to another Chris Roomba reaction. It's been a little bit since I watched one of their videos, and given how, the Deltarune fact videos I've watched have done really well, and you guys have seemed to really like them, when Chris Roomba put out this new video, which is a random fact about every Deltarune song, I thought, that might be fun to watch, because a lot of the fact videos I've watched have been more about, gameplay and, designs and stuff like that. Nothing about the actual music, and given that, music is one of Toby Fox's biggest things, that he's known for, you'd think that there were a lot of facts and a lot of just little weird things that go on with, his compositions. And honestly, again, as I've said before, I just like learning fun facts, so I mean, anytime I can, learn more I'm having a good time. So, yeah, we should probably get this thing started. So, of course, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to my channel, because my main goal for this year is to hopefully hit 5,000 subscribers, and at the current rate I'm going, that's totally doable. Thanks to every one of you that thinks subscribing to my channel is worth it, and I very much appreciate it. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
This is one fun fact for each of the songs in the Deltarune soundtrack. Some of these are incredibly deep cuts and mostly just a bunch of niche random trivia you probably don't already know. So comment down below how many of these you've heard before, but I can guarantee that you'll learn something new here. Let's get right into it, starting with
another hymn.
The ominous static in the background is actually sampled from Earthbound's Fight Against Gygus.
I think I'd actually have heard that one before. I forget where, but I think I have heard that one before.
The sound is played as a sound font instrument at varying different notes. The Gygus static is also used very briefly in Undertale's Amalgam.
Jeez, yeah, Toby Fox showing a lot of his inspirations right there.
In music, an octave is divided into 12 semitones, which are basically the distance in pitch between two adjacent piano notes.
Wait, an octave is divided into 12? I always thought an octave was divided into 8, given that, octave. Really? Yeah, that's weird. Again, music was never really my forte, so I don't know a lot of this stuff.
Each semitone can be further divided into 100 cents, like a dollar, and we often refer to cents in regards to pitch and tuning. What does any of this have to do with beginning? Well, the entire song is tuned down by exactly 1 cent. It is 1/100th of a note off. Aren't you glad you know that now?
1/100th of a percent off. Okay, now I have to wonder who discovered that exactly. Is it one of those cases where, the music is pitched in, the actual game's code? Or, is this where somebody put it into a program and actually looked at the notes and saw that they were, 1% off? Because otherwise, how do you notice something like that? That is, honestly, that is almost creepy that somebody noticed something like that.
Both Beginning and School are the only two songs in the Deltarune soundtrack whose file names begin with muse_, which is the naming convention used in Undertale's music files. Even Another Hymn is called audio_another hymn, as opposed to Undertale's muse_hymn file. I can't think of a clear reason why this would be, other than the implication that Beginning and School were created around the same time Toby was working on the Undertale soundtrack, but who knows?
I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that, where maybe it was done very early in development, before he had a more solid understanding of what he was going to be doing involving, naming conventions, so he followed more onto Undertale. Or Oh wait, no, there are other musics used in the light world though, because I was gonna say, oh, maybe it's because they're in the light world, and the light world's more similar to Undertale and stuff like that. But that doesn't really work when there's other musics in the light world too. Huh.
Quick, what Deltarune song is labeled in the files as S_Neo? Did you guess Spamton Neo's battle theme, Big Shot? Well, you're wrong. It's actually Suzy for some reason.
Okay, that... Yeah, how to not be confusing.
The Door is titled as such because it plays when Chris and Suzy come across the ominous doors leading to the dark worlds in both chapters. Where else does it play? In Castletown before you meet Ralsei, of course, naturally.
Cliffs, yes.
This song has one instrument, the string sound font from Secret of Evermore. Awesome.
Secret of Evermore. Now I'm thinking about it. That sounds familiar. Have I ever played that? Or at the very least, heard of it? Secret of Evermore. No, I've definitely never seen this before. Jeez, wow, that is a title. Wow, okay.
This song uses the same melody as The Door, but the motif's contour and rhythm is echoed throughout World Revolving. Which kind of makes sense given as it's set up as a general dark world motif. With that being said, it also sounds very similar to Toby Fox's old song, Nightmare Night. And it even uses a similar sound font from Kirby Superstar.
God, interesting. Okay, so like all the... Like, again, like, I know, like, the idea, it's like, oh, Toby Fox is a musician and likes making music. Yeah, I mean, like, a shudder of the thought. But, I mean, again, I always forget that, you know, Toby Fox has been doing this sort of thing for a long time, but even before Undertale. So I always find myself surprised at the thing. It's like, oh, Toby Fox made more songs before that? And I don't know why I keep getting surprised, but honestly, I do.
There is a piano very faintly in the background of this song. Can you hear it? I sure can't.
No.
Here's what it sounds like with just the piano.
I guess that is sort of like, granted, like the last time I had anything to do with like actually composing music this way was like, was it playing around with GarageBand in like one of my classes during high school? I think it was like information technology or something. We were all on like Macs and stuff for that class. But I played around with just like a GarageBand in the free time, just like making mashes of sound and music and stuff like that. Like that does remind me of just like, you could get something that sounded really good just by adding more and more layers. Like, cause like, I know if you're not careful, you can eventually just have it sound like noise. Granted, like in the final piece, you can't hear the piano like at all. But like the idea that it potentially does just add that little bit to the music, even though if you're not like consciously aware of it, I mean, it's always there. Lancer, yeah.
Lancer is the first song in this soundtrack whose name in the files directly matches the official title of the song.
Really?
This song has 5 different pianos, many of which play simultaneously.
I mean, yeah, the piano was loud, but did you need 5 of them at the same time? I mean, like, I know that's that whole thing, you know, in, like, audio editing, where if you layer multiples of the same audio on top of one another, they get louder. But like, could Toby have not just turned up the volume on that one, like on the one piano? Like, was there some sort of weird effect he was going for by layering 5 of them? Like, that just seems like more effort than it's worth.
Empty Town is the first song in the soundtrack to be in 3/4 time signature, not counting the ending of the legend, but most of that song is in 4/4.
Weird birds.
Arguably the best song on this soundtrack, Weird Birds consists of a singular sine wave with just a bunch of delay and reverb on it.
Okay. Interesting.
I could give you an actual music fact here, but it's funnier to point out that this is the one and only song where the title is displayed in this cool little pop-up. I know we all played Chapter 1 and we're like, oh, that's so cool, we get to see the name of the songs now. Nope, just this one. But also, in the game, the title is displayed as The Field of Hopes and Dreams, as opposed to the official title of the song on the soundtrack, just Field of Hopes and Dreams.
Interesting. Okay. Now I'm wondering if that was one of those things that was initially going to be, it's like, oh, it's going to be like carried through the entirety of the game, but it just sort of like, it became like too much effort for its worth, so like, but it became too much effort to, you know, actually keep implementing it further on in the game, because like, so instead of, you know, removing it, they just kept in the one they'd already done and just never did it again. Like, yeah, because, like, thinking about it, I remember, like, seeing that when I first played. It's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But then, like, yeah, thinking about it, that's never, like, I never noticed they never did it again anywhere else. Fanfare.
This song is from the soundtrack of Rose of Winter, which, you know, I know it says that in the title, but did you know that the reason it cuts off like that is because it's just the beginning of a full 1.5 minute long song?
I didn't even... I've never heard... What's Rose of Winter? Is that something else Toby Fox has worked on? Like, or did he just ask for permission to use that beginning section of the song? This is a game from 2016. Really?
This is, for some reason, the only other song in the soundtrack that shares Rude Buster's motif.
Really? Interesting. Honestly, just going back to that one, back to Lantern. I mean, obviously, I love, like, the shop themes. A lot of the shop themes, they're so good at, like, kind of... like, telling you, like, the theme or just the feeling of the store as if you're actually walking into it yourself. And this one, I don't know what it is, but Lantern, like, it specifically, it feels like how Sham feels, or how he looks, like, tired, run down, worn down, also... where it's just sort of like, where it just kind of like swings and just sort of, it's not going fast, it's just going at its own pace in the world, doesn't matter about what anything else is happening. Honestly, again, like, it is, like, actually thinking about it, because I haven't actually listened to it in a while, but, like, it's what, honestly, think about it, it is one of my more favorite, you know, shop themes.
This beautiful masterpiece of compositional artistry is the second shortest song in Chapter 1, tied with Your Power almost exactly when you cut out the silence at the beginning.
Checker Dance, yeah!
Checker Dance uses the sound font of Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. It's one of only 2 songs in Deltarune to do so, and there are no Undertale songs with this sound font either.
Interesting. never heard of that
Quiet
game. So.
Autumn is the second song in this soundtrack, whose name in the files directly matches the official title.
Oh, okay. Again, why can't that? I honestly want it. Like, honestly, at one point, I hope Toby Fox releases like, I don't know, like a developer documentary or like an art book or something, just talking about like the development history behind the scenes of Deltarune. Because honestly, I want to find out just what's going on with all like the different inconsistencies when it comes to naming things. Like, obviously, I can understand, some of them having a different, font and naming scheme because, they're related to Gaster, so you want to leave those breadcrumbs out for people doing theories and stuff like that. But a lot of the time, these inconsistencies, like, they don't seem to, like, point to anything, like, important and just seem more annoying than anything else. Because you'd think that at the end of the day, you'd want them to have, a consistent naming scheme. So that way, it's just easier to find them in, like, directories and stuff like that. It's like, oh, they're all just under this section instead of them all having... it's like this group is this group is that, this group is this is the Gaster group, just sort of stuff like that.
Scarlet Forest is the first song in either Undertale or Deltarune to use the Squid Font orchestral sound font, which is basically just a bunch of realistic sounding orchestral instruments. The only other Deltarune song that currently uses these instruments, surprisingly enough, is Big Shot.
Really? So all I'm getting from this is that seemingly Deltarune has a much larger variety of actual like music types than what came previously.
The piano here is from Super Mario World. This is the first instance of a Super Mario World instrument in the Deltarune or Undertale soundtrack, with the only prior instance being absolutely overfamiliar Shrine from the PS4 version of Undertale.
Honestly, again, I said I have like no like experience when it comes to like making music like this. How are they allowed to use these, as they're called, sound fonts or stuff like that? Because like something from that's like, oh, this one's from this game, this one's from Super Mario. Like, wouldn't those be like copyright or trademark protected by Nintendo? Are they not actually? Like, how does this whole thing actually work? I have no idea how any of this stuff works here.
At a tempo of 180 BPM, this is the fastest song in Deltarune Chapter 1. Just kidding. It's the fastest song in the soundtrack so far, but we'll get to the actual record holder in a bit.
Oh, Basement, yeah.
Basement is the first song in the soundtrack that has literally nothing interesting about it. I mean, whose favorite Deltarune song is Basement? I don't think those people exist. Along with The Door and Digital Roots in Chapter 2, this song pretty clearly references the You Idiot motif from Undertale. And come to think of it, that motif is used in a pretty similar manner throughout Deltarune, underscoring ominous and tense situations.
Yeah, I guess it does. I'd never thought of that. Again, like, I guess it's one of those things, like, You Idiot is not one of those songs I think of from Undertale that often, so I'd almost completely forgotten what it sounded like. It's not like, oh, like, when you're fighting Mettaton or something like that, where you were at very end, you can, like, hear it, like, you can hear the power of Neo in, like, Big Shot and stuff like that. No.
The guitar in this song is from the Ultimate Guitar Kit V2 sound font and basically just uses the default FL Studio amp with certain layers having a bit of flanger on them. Card Castle is the first song in the Deltarune soundtrack that could actually be played on a real NES sound chip. Empty Town is pretty close, but as far as I can tell, it has one too many pulse wave channels, of which the NES sound chip can only support 2.
Okay, interesting. I mean, yeah, I guess that does make sense, because, like, actually, like, thinking about it, I remember thinking back that, like, actually thinking about, like, Card Castle does actually sound, pretty authentic when it comes to NES style music. It's very like it's rather simplistic. I'd almost imagine hearing it in like one of like the early Mario games or something like that, when you're like Bowser's Castle or something. And thinking about it, I remember, I can't remember what the documentary was. It was somewhere on YouTube where they were actually talking about like, the development of, Mario and the NES and stuff like that. And they were talking about when they made, Mario's theme, how they got around the limited, sound channels was they used the static, which was just its own thing as, the symbols and stuff like that. Which, I mean, it's just genius, honestly.
Rules card is labeled in the files with its Japanese name, which is interesting considering the game is written in English and then translated into Japanese.
Well, how is it? Rurus Kado. Am I saying that correctly? April 2012.
April 2012 was composed, believe it or not, in 2012. It was made for a Homestuck-related project, pitched down and labeled Demo Scene. It is one of 2 songs you can find on the GitHub repository for this project, the other being a sound file named Muscles, which I kid you not, sounds like this. Yeah, April 2012 and Sans' theme have the same origin.
Honestly, that's the weirdest part. That Sans' theme was originally called Muscles, which, I mean, I guess that's the kind of the joke there, that a song called Muscles is used for, the theme song of a literal skeleton. But oh god, I mean, there's always a case for recycling, reduce, reuse, and all that. But Toby is the absolute king of this stuff.
Hip Shop is such a chill and relaxing song. It is also the fastest song in Deltarune Chapter 1, and this time I'm not joking. Posed at 194 BPM, which is faster than the world revolving.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Gallery is the shortest song in Deltarune Chapter 1, being only 12 seconds long. This song prominently features 2 electric guitar instruments. One of them originates from the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest sound font. The other is from Super Mario Kart.
God, honestly, that's part of the reason I really love, old style games, and just, even not even just playing, just learning the history, because you can have, these old style games, like these old, where everything was proprietary to the company that made them, basically. So you could have these 2 things that are, they're both, electric guitar, but they can sound different when they're playing like the same thing. Like, that's part of the reason I like watching channels like Lazy Aim Reviews or LGR, and he has a couple of videos going over like old MIDI processors and how like different MIDI processors would have like this. Would play like you'd put in one file and they would sound different coming out of different sound processors. Like, you don't get that anymore. And honestly, again, like the whole thing about actually having things sound the same no matter where they come out of is definitely a good thing. But there's that little bit of flavor that I really like, where it's just like, if you put it in this, you get this sound, but if you put it in that, you get this sound. It's like, I really like that.
What does Darkness Falls have in common with Another Hymn and Before the Story? Their file names share the prefix audio_. Very interesting.
Here we go.
On the official soundtrack release, The Circus plays at 140 BPM, but in-game it actually plays at 119.5 BPM and is pitched down as such. I could go the route of telling you that The World Revolving is just Gaster's theme arranged into a full melody a la Andrew Cunningham, but instead I have a more interesting fun fact. According to interviews with Toby Fox, he originally tried making Deltarune in 2012, using the character designs of the Card Kingdom Darkners. While Jevil was not designed just yet, Toby revealed that he had composed a few songs for this 2012 game, including one titled Joker Battle, which was later repurposed into Heartache in Undertale. The World Revolving is still labeled as Joker in the files. In other words, Heartache was the original World Revolving.
Okay, wait, I gotta listen to Heartache. I need to compare. Okay, so obviously this was, not, true Deltarune, but the idea that, God, I'm just trying to figure out the lineup. So like the theme for, a proto-Jevil battle became Toriel's battle music. That is weird. Oh, geez. Okay, I did not see that coming. Friendship.
This isn't the only Toby Fox song titled Friendship. There's a song on Toby Fox's old website from before Deltarune that goes like this.
Okay, I can hear it.
It's notable because it has the Nightmare Night motif, which we talked about earlier as being very similar to the Dark World motif. I would also like to smoothly transition into the next song, The Holy. You see, this song also has ties to Toby Fox's old website. There was an early version of The Holy titled Treasure Discovered that sounds like this.
Yeah, that's very similar right there, yeah.
The fact that Friendship and The Holy are both right next to each other in the game and soundtrack, and they both have ties to the old Toby Fox website, and Friendship has a similar motif to the Dark World melody, it makes me wonder if the original Toby Fox Friendship was supposed to play in this scene of Deltarune, and it was later replaced with a new song that has the main theme of the game. That's my little conspiracy anyways.
I mean, I can see it.
Your Power is the only song on the soundtrack whose file name has the prefix sound underscore, which is the prefix used for sound effects in Deltarune.
Again, like the inconsistent naming, I know that it doesn't affect me in the slightest, but why it bothers me so much.
This is the longest track that plays in the Light World as of chapters 1 and 2. It's also the longest track that exclusively uses the SGM sound font. In other words, real sounding instruments rather than video game sound fonts. The only other chapter 1 song that does this exclusively is Basement. But like I said, nobody likes Basement. This song is labeled in the files as Home, but I guess he couldn't just call it that because that name's already taken. To be fair though, the Undertale version of Home has the file name muse_house1. Is any of this interesting? How many of these do we have left?
I mean, the video is almost over, so not a lot, I'd imagine. Again, inconsistent naming. I'm loving this so far. I love Toby Fox recycling his old unused music and refining it to be used again. I love the weird pseudo family trees you're able to find from Toby's previous projects through to Undertale, through to Deltarune and stuff like that. But the inconsistent naming, that is what's driving me nuts here.
When the light is running low.
The woman singing this song composed the Plants vs. Zombies soundtrack.
Wait, really? I didn't know
Before
that.
the Story isn't actually a Deltarune song at all. It was on the Undertale Collector's Edition exclusive soundtrack, and also the dynamic theme for the PlayStation version of Undertale.
Okay. Huh, I wonder. So wait, does that mean... I mean, if it was just on the PlayStation, I mean, I guess... When do we think Toby Fox actually started, like, development of Deltarune exactly? Because I know there's obviously been, you know, the releases of the Undertale on, like, the other consoles.
So with that said and done, that was 40 facts for each of the 40 Deltarune Chapter 1 songs. If you want to see the next part of this series, in
What
which
is
we'll
this
predictably
music?
cover Chapter 2's soundtrack, subscribe to this channel because I post weekly Deltarune content. And with the next chapters right around the corner, I'll be uploading even more frequently. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can use the Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to all the videos early. Thank you for watching till the end, and I'll see you all.
Jeez, okay. Again, I've said before, I absolutely love these fact videos because all these little things I probably never would have learned otherwise. Again, as I said, this learning, like, all these, again, some of these facts were, like, so inconsequential, like, oh, this song uses this instrument, like, sound font, and this one uses this instrument sound font. But, like, again, like, the question of, like, how does the rights between, you know, using these sound fonts that were created for other games by other companies work, or, like, how songs were kind of like molded over time into the things we know today or stuff like that. Like, I honestly want to know more about that, and I am kind of excited to for when, you know, Chris Roomba puts out the Chapter 2, because again, there's a lot of good songs in Chapter 2 as well. And honestly, again, looking forward to seeing if there's any new bangers in Chapters 3 and 4 when they come out. Ah, God, yeah. So again, like, at the time of recording, I remember I saw somebody on Twitter talking about, it's like, oh, 9 more, you know, tomorrows until Deltarune comes out, so the countdown has officially begun. But yeah, that's definitely going to be it for now. So yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.